Now, we've already looked at Java's queue object and how we can use that as part of the collection set. However, they also provide a priority queue. Now, a priority queue is going to sort the queue, so it's not necessarily a first in, first out. If you remember correctly, we've talked about priority queues previously, and we mentioned things like maybe at a hospital. You don't want to take patients in a first come, first serve. You want to take them based upon medical need, and then you might have groups or subgroups within them. So let's take a look at how something like that would work. Well, by default, the priority queue is going to be what they call a natural sorting. So I'm going to come over here and say priority queue. This is going to be of type string, just to keep it simple. And I'm going to call this queue as well, just for simplicity's sake, equals new priority queue. Now you will notice that you can create an object of priority queue. So how am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to look at saying something like queue.add. I'm going to specify A. But then I want to specify some elements outside of the natural order. So I'm going to copy this, but instead of doing A, I'm going to do D, B, Z, W. Then we'll do a system.out.println, specify queue. You might ask, well, what is that natural order that we were talking about? Well, as you run this, you'll see that it puts these. Now, when we run this, you'll notice that, hey, my queue items are still in the order that they were shown. So how do we go about this process of fixing it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, while my queue is not empty. And so I'm going to come over here and say, while bang, or the not operator if you would, queue dot is empty. I'm going to loop through this. Say string s equals queue dot poll. And I'm going to print out s. So while it's stored in order, if I go and run this, you'll notice that now when I pull them and I remove them element by element, they're actually coming out in their natural order, or alphabetically, if you would. So while we did A, D, B, it's coming out as A, B, D, W, Z. And so we get the right order based upon when we remove elements, not how they're stored. So how does it know what order to do? Well, this is the default order, okay? So that's the basics of using a priority queue, just to kind of get us started. Of course, we can create other types of priority queues and use our own user-defined data types. So I can store students or products or anything else. And we're going to look at that in the next video example.